Hello and welcome to the show. For this week's FailRace versus the community, we were to do a manufacturer battle, Honda versus Toyota. Our first race would go to the Alps. This Honda NSX that we are following here got a very, very good start. Goes to the outside at turn 1, making up a number of positions. The Alps is a very difficult track to overtake around. It is incredibly fast as the NSX sweeps around the outside of an MR2. Incredibly fast, very, very little in the way of big braking zones. Your car needs an awful lot of grip, but it's still got to have some speed as well about it because there are some sort of medium straights. Again, a very, very quick circuit, this one. I too had gone for the NSX, the 05. Honda hadn't really built one of these on Forza 6, so I thought it was time to change that. I do love my NSXs when it comes to making of race cars. I was battling with a CRX, the Honda scraping the wall a little bit, gets away with it through that incredibly high-speed section. Is not the most comfortable of places to go 2 cars wide. We did make it all work. My NSX, a little bit more in terms of straight line speed, but not quite as fast through the corners as some of the other vehicles around here. You certainly had to be a little bit patient when it came to picking your overtaking moments. This GT86 spotted an opportunity as the Civic up ahead was struggling with a bit of understeer, ends up out rather wide, but another Civic is very keen to try and find a way past. In fact, there's a lot of Civics around this particular area. The GT86, though, does get the move done, while the 97 Civic would just about find a way past into this final corner. The 2 Toyotas now battling it out around this very, very long final turn. The MR2 is on the outside. One of the characteristics of this track, momentum is so very, very important. You can see how quickly the purple Civic has caught up with these 2 vehicles up ahead going too wide and just compromising each other a little bit. In fact, the whole Civic crew have caught up a little bit as the 2 Toyotas were battling for position. Purple Civic making the most of the opportunity. The door left wide open from the MR2. Another Civic as well is going to join in. Around a circuit like this, yeah, you get stuck out wide. It can be very, very costly indeed, as I think both of the Civics made their way past, all 3 of the Civics, made their way past of the MR2. Further back, there was another battle going on. This will be a race-long battle, actually, between these 2 blue cars, the Toyota and Honda S2000. And this kind of epitomizes what I said about overtakes are very, very difficult to make work around here. The S2000 very, very quick through the turns. The Toyota that little bit faster down the straights. The S2000 tries to go to the outside at turn 1, but it is a very, very long way around. You could have a dive up the inside. The Toyota is covering the inside quite nicely, but also there's just so little in the way of braking. Some of the cars are going to be flat out around this section. Yeah, some of them might be having tiny little bit of lift, but you've got to have so much more speed or so much more grip than the car you're racing with to get a pass done. The Honda trying to go to the outside. In the end, he gets the move done when the Toyota just misses his braking a little bit, and often that's one of the most likely ways to get passes done around here. You force the other car into a mistake. You wait and you bide your time until you spot that optimum opportunity. I was up in 3rd place, being chased by an S2000. The Honda was a little bit quicker. However, I was not making it easy for the S2000, forcing him to try and go the long way round. He had the grip to keep his car alongside, but my NSX was just too quick on the acceleration, and I was making enough of a margin up towards this final corner. And again, it's difficult to get a pass done through here. The S2000 can carry a little bit more speed. You can turn that a little bit tighter than the NSX, but as we leave the final turn, yeah, the S2000 may well be right on my bumper, but I can pull away down the start-finish straight, and again, we don't have a very big braking zone into this first corner. Another race-long battle that would go on, the GT86 here and the Honda Civic. The white GT86 was the highest placed Toyota in this race. The Toyotas weren't faring massively well here as he runs wide out of the final turn. Just catches the wall. Not what you want to be doing, but very easily done around this circuit. The Civic would spot his opportunity to get the position as he's still a little bit stuck out wide into turn 1. If you can carry the momentum off the corner, though, you can get away with it, as in the background I think a Civic and an S2000 are running close together. Either way, the Civic would move up a position. Again, you're profiting from just that little error of the car in front. This S2000 will go on to chase down the Toyota MR2 as we're running through. These are stupendously fast corners, but again has got really nowhere to go. Although the MR2 pushes his car a little bit too much again, it's just that graze along the wall. So all it takes, just lose that little bit of momentum, lose that little bit of speed, and the car behind will pounce. In this case, the S2000 getting up the inside and getting the move done nice and clean. The Toyota fighting back a little bit through the next corner, but it's just too far back. At the front, and it would be the white NSX that would go on to take victory here, having got to the lead relatively early on. Pretty much drove away from the rest of us. Yes, certainly helped by being out of traffic, but still was quite a long way out in front. Unfortunately, you see the car stopped on the finish line. Second place was a Toyota A86, but he would lag out with a couple of laps to go, which means this fight, we were catching the Toyota towards the end of the race, but this would now be the fight for second place. I'd held the S2000 off for quite some time. However, on the final lap, he managed to find a way to slither past in these final few corners. I'm not giving up, though, as we head through this incredibly fast change of direction. We're going to go side by side up towards the final turn. The problem is the S2000 has just got the grip. I tried to take a tighter line. I understeer out wide, clip or sort of bump the side of the S2000. Doesn't affect the pink car. I get a little bit of a slide and just lose a bit of gap. The S2000 would take second, my NSX in third. A very, very good race, actually. Probably one of the best races I've had here at Alps between the pair of us. I did everything I could, threw everything I could at trying to hold that S2000 behind. I couldn't do it. The Civic and GT86, they would fight all the way down to the wire as well as we head into this final turn. The purple car getting a very, very good run off of the top of the corner. However, that Toyota was just a little bit too fast with its straight line speed. The GT86 would get the position, and that would become the highest placed Toyota in the first race. Honda had very much dominated the opening round, but race 2, we were to go to the Catalonia circuit. A long run down into this first corner, and my pretty decent NSX, I was a fair way back with this randomized grid, so had plenty of work to do. I get stuck a little bit on the outside of this first quarter. It's a very, very busy opening turn here. A few cars, a little bit bumping, a couple of cars having to take to the escape road up ahead. There is a lot of jostling for position. I get myself to the inside of a Celica and get that particular move done. I do quite like the Catalonia circuit. It does tend to be a pretty good circuit for racing. Unfortunately, an S2000 is a moron and manages to miss his braking and then lock everything up. We were, though, still racing, having had that decent start. I was now looking for a way past an S2000. He'd just given a bump to the NSX ahead, and that had put him out a little bit wide and a little bit slow. Again, I'm going to pounce. When you get an opportunity like that one, left the door lovely and wide open on the inside, I'm going to make the most of that to move up yet another position. Black NSX ahead had got away past the GT86, and I was going to try and have a crack at the inside, although I wasn't quite sure on this opening lap how much speed I was going to be able to take around that corner. The Toyota did a great job of holding that position off around the outside. However, as we run into the hairpin, I've got that more straight line speed. I can get to the inside of the Toyota and get the position behind me. The S2000 is busy fighting with the Toyota Celica. Now we have two NSXs trying to hunt down that 2000 GT that was leading the way. Further back, a pair of Supras were fighting for position. The blue car all the way out over the curves, but does a great job to hold the inside. This final chicane is so slow and so narrow. Getting passes done there, we've seen time and time again, is so difficult. The white Supra does get to the inside for the final corner, but it isn't quite enough. Of course, both of them compromising themselves massively through that final turn. They allow the GT86 behind to catch up on the car ahead of them to get that little bit of a safe margin for at least a little while as we run down towards this first corner once more. Very evenly matched, these two, in terms of straight line speed. This particular layout of Catalonia, perhaps a little bit easier to overtake around than the national layout, but still, you've got to really pick and choose your moments to get passes done. Further back, we had a mighty fast Celica, huge amounts of power in this car. But of course, to keep it in B class, you compromise somewhere else, which is going to be the handling. So a real handful of a car to try and keep on the track. The A86 is around the outside. The NSX is building a couple of sandcastles on the outside. Just got a little bit too much understeer through there. The Celica is fighting back, of course. As soon as you get to anywhere near something resembling a straight, the Celica is so stupidly quick. Again, we run up the hill. The Celica is to the inside, but isn't going to have the grip to take the speed around this corner. The A86 can carry that momentum as we head back onto this short straight. Again, Celica is going to pull up alongside. It's just about ahead of his fellow Toyota, but can't make the move stick. Although, having said that, the A86 goes far too late on the brakes trying to get to that position and would have to drop in behind. Now they've got another car to be worrying about as they're going to look for a way past, but the Celica can't do too much through these corners. Of course, doesn't quite have the grip, ends up dives to the inside, clobbers the curb, not really where you want to be going. The GT86 is covering the inside. The AE is now looking around the outside of that chicane. They're just all now helping to slow one another down as we head on to this big slide from the Celica. The Corolla is there behind. Ready, now comes the power though of that Celica. The poor GT86 doesn't really stand a chance against that sort of straight line speed. Up at the front, and I had worked my way up into second place and was applying more and more pressure, trying to find a way past the leader. I had built a little bit of a gap over the black NSX, but having been stuck behind the 2000 GT for a lap, that gap was evaporating, and I knew I needed to get a pass done quickly. Behind, I could see the groups of cars were coming ever closer in this race, so yeah, really couldn't waste any more time being stuck behind this 2000 GT. Although it was pretty damn fast in a straight line, it wasn't able to pull a massive margin over the NSX. However, he's going to defend down into the first corner. The NSX great under braking, but it's a long way around the outside at turn one. I gave it a go, couldn't make it stick. In the background there, I think it was a Celica was up on two wheels across the Catalonia curb. Still got to bide your time, can't really do too much through this turn, just carry as much speed as you can get away with. Unfortunately for me, this next corner, this is where I'd been seeing sort of great time gains on the 2000 GT. I could just carry so much more speed on the way into here, and he didn't defend this lap around, gave me the opportunity to get up alongside. But even having done that, of course, for the next turn, the 2000 GT will defend the inside. I've got so much grip, though, in the NSX. We're going to cut back to the inside for the run down towards this next corner. 2000 GT has not got the handling to try and hold that one around the outside. If you can, you'll have the optimum line at the top of the hill, but the 2000 GT is not quite able to. And in all of that battle, of course, the black NSX is still close behind. He's now going to start attacking the Toyota. And, yeah, I got the move done before the whole field kind of joined in that fight, which was important, but still held me off for a good lap or so. These two continued their fight for a large part of the race, the Celica and the A86, as they now are catching up to other groups of cars. The white GT86 being passed by the pair of them. A Celica up ahead would fall foul of the Catalonia curbs. Every single time we go to this circuit, there will be at least at least one car that puts the rear wheel on the curb and spins in the braking zone. It's just guaranteed at this particular track. Either way, these two continuing to make progress through the field, pretty much locked together with the Celica's incredible straight line speed, with the A86 much faster through the turns. The blue Supra was beginning to close on this lead group. Another reason I knew I needed to get clear of that 2000 GT, as a big dive to the inside of a Celica into this final chicane. Once again, much as we saw when the two Supras were racing one another. Yes, you can get up the inside, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to get the move done there at that chicane, and it can cost you a fair amount of time. However, the Supra would get the move done. Again, it was that run off of the final corner. Carries lots of speed around the outside there. Does get ahead of the Celica. Very close once more down that start-finish straight, but the Celica not quite close enough to really have a big dive into that first corner. And at the front, it would be my NSX, despite running a little bit wide out of that chicane on the final lap. It would be my NSX that would go on to take victory. However, Toyotas would fare much better here. The 2000 GT in second, another NSX in third, ahead of, I think, about 3 or 4 Toyotas. Much better showing from the Toyotas. Actually, a really good fun race. That one. Our final round, and we would head to the Road America West alternate layout. I like this track. I like the West alternate layout. It's a tough opening corner, this one. It's a very narrow chicane. A lot of cars trying to fit into a rather small piece of racetrack, and it's a tiny run as well down to that opening corner. These, 3 Celicas were up, 3 Celicas and an MR2 were up at the front, as the MR2 just dropping back a little bit. The GT4 looking to go around the outside is not quite able to. There's a Honda Civic running a little bit wide out of that third corner. The MR2 still defending his position as a long train of cars work their way through these opening turns. This circuit, a little bit easier one to overtake, as the MR2 gets a wheel stuck on the grass, not quite where you want to be out there. Just couldn't get the car turned. I had a lot of work to do in this race, having started right down the back. There were plenty of cars for me to try and find my way past. This is a huge group of vehicles. Once more, the NSX, a quick car, but when you've got just this many vehicles ahead of you, again, you've got to be patient. You've got to try and find that gap, and as the Supra just can't quite turn through this final corner, I'm going to stick the nose up the inside with the Honda. However, Supra's got some good speed on the inside towards turn 1. I'm going to hold the inside for this second corner. It's not really going to matter. The Supra once more gets the drive off of the turn onto the longest straight on the track. You can see the leaders already a fair way ahead of us, who are all fighting over position. The S2000 at the front of this group now got the Supra for company. I would blast my way past the MR2 as we come under braking, although the MR2 would fight back as the S2000s run a little bit wide. Very easy to run wide through that section at the front, and it was 2 of the Celicas and a Corolla, fighting for this first place. The GT4 heading around the outside of the hairpin to get the lead. A good pass to make that stick. Further back, I was still locked in battle with this group of cars. 3 wide into the hairpin, not the greatest of schemes. Not that anything bad happened. I was stuck on the outside and just couldn't make a pass stick. The S2000 really struggling with understeer. The MR2 not really wanting to be that far out. I can take that tighter line. We can get the MR2, but once more, much as you saw when I was fighting with the Supra, you can get to the inside for the second part, but it's all about the run off of the corner. Fortunately for me, as there was a slow Corolla struggling for grip, I would manage to get 3 cars in those first couple of corners. Sort of everything got boxed up behind the Corolla, and I could go soaring past on the inside, and then using the NSX's straight line speed, I could roar past the GT4 Celica up the inside, the Corolla back fighting with the S2000. It was hectic work. It was hectic work. The NSX was a great car, but there was still so much traffic around to be fighting with. Further back, another MR2 was trying to work his way through the order. There's just these huge groups of cars were around the place, making it very, very difficult. It's a good pass from the MR2 up the inside, under braking, but it does make it tough trying to work your way through the order when there are just such large number of groups of cars, because if you've got 2 or 3 cars ahead of you battling, they're going to go too wide through various corners. You might be very, very quick, but doesn't mean that you're going to be able to get into a overtaking position. I had, having freed myself of the battles, caught up to the back of yet another Supra fight. These two rounding this final corner. Again, the white Supra struggling for that little bit of understeer, and my NSX is very keen to exploit the lovely gap that appears on the inside. We're once again, though, having to do the exact same thing through these opening corners, although I carry a bit more speed this time. I'm able to get clear of the Supra. I know what's going to happen as we come down this back straight. The Corolla is there as well, and them things are mighty, mighty fast when it comes to straight line speed. I leave the Supra gap. He can go to the outside. I don't mind too much. I know how good the NSX is under braking. He's still going to fight. It just can't quite turn in. The Honda is very much there, and I would get the pass done on the Supra and go chasing after the next one, although you will notice, yeah, the top 10 was very, very Toyota heavy at this stage. There were other Hondas around, honestly. This Civic fighting his way with a GT86 on the inside into turn 1. The Toyota just a little bit on the grass. Got to be so careful at this track. The way that sort of turn 1, turn 2 go, if you end up with a wheel on the grass on the exit of sort of the second part of that corner, you get suckered towards a tyre bundle that gets ever closer to the track. It is so easy to end up with your car in the tyre bundle. I got very close at one point during this race. 3 of the Supras, I would get myself up into 3rd place. Up ahead, another one of these Celicas. And I was catching. The leader did have a huge margin back to me, but lap after lap I was catching. I knew once more if I wasn't going to run out of laps to get up to the lead, I'd have to find a way past the Celica quick. And sure enough, the NSX just that bit too fast down the straight, and still very, very good under brakes. Could breeze past the Toyota without having to kind of have a big dive into the braking zone. Further back, an A86 was very much in the mix of this midfield battle. The blue and white Supra struggling a little bit with pace, was gradually going a little bit backwards through the field as we now have the drag race down this front straight. The A86 very, very quick down here. However, again, as we've seen, when you build a car very, very quick in terms of straight line speed, that tends to compromise it somewhere else, and this car was certainly sliding just about all over the place through here. You see it struggling with a big kick of oversteer. Not quite what you want going through these turns, and that is going to be a little bit costly, especially when you end up out on the grass and you've got 2 cars behind you. That's 2 places down. Tries to get to the inside through the next corner. The Supra is off playing in the dirt, not quite where you want to be, although the Supra is thankfully just far enough ahead. The GT86 would just about manage to slide his way back in front. The white car, though, certainly not giving up as we run through these corners, although again another big kick of oversteer, certainly not helping in terms of fighting with these vehicles. And behind them, got to be careful, Corolla and Civic were waiting. At the front, as we headed on to the final lap, I had done everything I could with the NSX, and I was right there fighting for this lead. It was to the outside of the Celica, having had the Toyota put a wheel on the grass. I just run out of road trying to make it stick. A little bit of rally crossing from the NSX. I keep it alongside the Toyota, but he's now on the optimum line into this hairpin. I know I have good grip. I try to get my car around the outside. The Celica is just that bit too fast. 3rd place has come to join us very quickly once we start fighting like this as we head into the final turn. The Toyota ahead of me could carry too much speed. I couldn't. My NSX was good around that final corner, but I couldn't match the Celica in terms of speed. The Toyota would take victory. My NSX in 2nd with another Celica in 3rd. One more lap and maybe I might have found a way past. It was still a hell of a battle for position there. The red MR2 would continue his march through the field. Him and an orange Corolla were fighting with a Supra on this very final of laps. The Supra, one of the quicker cars here, in a straight line, trying to regain a position as we round through the hairpin. The final corner here is a nasty bugger of a corner, and if you can carry the speed, if you can get your car to the inside, you see the MR2 here really struggling to get the car turned, you might stand a chance of getting an overtake done. The Supra does get his car that nose alongside, but it's not going to be enough. The MR2 would take or keep the position. With the 3 races done, I went back and gave points to the cars that finished, so that we could actually come up with a final score, if you like, and it is Toyota that would take victory. 1,213 points to Honda, scored 1,083, while Honda very much dominated the first race at Alps. It was a lot closer at Catalonia. Me being the only Honda, I think it was inside the top 13 at Road America, unfortunately very much sealed the fate of Honda. It is going to be victory for Toyota in this one. Nevertheless, my NSX was fantastic. I very much like having a very quick NSX once more. Great car to go driving with. However, that is going to be it for this week's Versus the Community. The next one shall be held on Thursday, the 8th of September. We are going to go racing with D-Class supercharged cars. If you would like to sign up and take part in that, then you can via our forums. There will be a link in the description. Find the FailRace Versus the Community section, and you can sign up in there. But that is going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.